What's up, guys? I am James Hake. This is the Hake Report. It's 9:01 a.m. U.S. Pacific Daylight Time here in Los Angeles. And it is a bittersweet day. It is a bittersweet moment because I have the last real song of Johnny Respect's 1998 album, Life Ain't What It Used to Be. And I learned that ain't is a Southern word. It's the contraction, originally the contraction of am and not. This track is titled Empty Box, and I would like to share it with you because I know you guys enjoy my music almost as my Christian music from when I was in high school and early college, almost as much as I do. So here is Empty Box from Johnny Respect. It's a Christian band from back in the day. Bulletproof Records, Grey Dot Incorporated. Hope you like it, but fret not. It's kind of short, and I'll walk you through it. And honestly, it's an enjoyable song. So here it is. Lyrics will be on screen, guys. My finger pointing to them.
Empty box I carry around inside my heart, filled with memories and they all stand alone. Meaning and a purpose to engage a soul, directed to it and to build. Once was a time and growing old. What does that mean? My mind is just a state, that is where I live. Spending all my time away, wasting all my time away.
True.
Absent thoughts of innocence take off my mind. Trouble like cause brings me to realize. Giving me forgiving you, it changes what I thought was true. Lost crashing down and all that's left is me. Once was a time and growing old. What does that mean? My mind is just a state, and that is where I live. Spending all my time away, wasting all my time away. A room without a view can help me loving you. It's what I'm feeling. Darkness into stone, like to be alone. It changes every day. It changes every day.
So nice. I really enjoy it. I see you guys comparing it to Green Day. I did not like Green Day. I did like that one song. Hope you had the time of your life. Maybe I liked it better than I realized. No, I liked Christian music. This song brought back good memories, says one person. Budget music for budget high school movies, says Bree Ross. Press 1 if Hake bites his nails. I don't even know how to bite my nails. I use clippers. Every time you see Hake's stupid finger, hit the mute button. Works every time. Nice, very Green Day sounding. This actually isn't too bad. Thank you, Uncle Teddy. What corporate sounding bogus speech. The la 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 sound is better, and we will be playing that. Is this a violin I hear? Kaya from Texas says, I lived in Washington State in the early mid-90s and actually don't mind punk rock because of that. Nice. Thank you for sharing. Oh no, this ain't no enjoyable song. Ain't no enjoying this one bit. Make it stop. Whatever, man. Well, thank you guys for bearing with me through that. But let's get right on with the show.
Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
Hey guys, we're gonna be talking about a bunch of mess. A little more debate reaction from my thing. The Kabul bombings, Ashley Babbitt's killer outed himself shamelessly, nursing shortage, and Dylan Roof. Hope you like it. And you can call in.
Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
So, how do you like AJ Gallardo's original theme song, The Hake Report, created, recorded, written, and recorded, even with my help? A little bit. I mean, marginally. On Christmas Eve 2017. So good. Thank you. Shout out to AJ Gallardo. And shout out to Trevor Wesley, who does this theme song, the Hake Report theme song, with more vocals. Put some bass in your voice, LOL. Who recorded and created the other version that we play Monday through Thursday. Thank you, guys. Appreciate that. So, guys, I want to share with you a little bit. You can call in, by the way, 888-775-3773. Thank you guys for all the support and all of the, even the verbal support and all that. I will be reading your super chats as well. We're going to have a fun, loosey-goosey Friday show, but I want to share with you a little bit more reaction. I don't know if I read this one from the debate that I had a couple of days ago. And it was an interesting debate, I think, right? Thank you to once again to Nick. Really helping me out so that I could do this from the studio on Modern Day Debate. That was cool. I debated Black Lives Matter, or I basically said what Black Lives Matter is about, right? And how evil it is, how evil they are, how evil the notion of it is. It's basically just an underhanded slap in the face to America, right? When they should be slapping themselves awake, or we should be slapping them. Wake up. I disavow so-called domestic violence. In fact, I don't even think domestic violence is the right word for it. It's a liberal word. Uncle Ted 88 just stated, just watched the debate yesterday. You were calm, cool, and collected. You destroyed that commie. Thank you, man. And Brandon M. also gave us a Trovo super cap yesterday that I don't think that I read. Shout out, Brandon M. As with most of your angry black peanut gallery, whoa, that's a racist reference, I learned. Although racism doesn't exist. But I read on Huffington Post that peanut gallery is a reference to the blacks who were kept in the balcony. You know, Jesse Lee Peterson said, oh, when we went to the movie theater, we had to sit in the balcony. But I didn't mind because it was better seating. He said that many times at speeches. And it's always funny. But that was also called the peanut gallery because I don't know about decades ago, but apparently so. But nowadays, oftentimes blacks are kind of loud. They talk, and you're like, man, can you be quiet? But you're too scared to tell them. Sometimes. As with most of your angry black peanut gallery, so the peanut gallery is the poor people, or the blacks who are eating peanuts in the balcony, and they're talking during the movie. That's why we talk about, the peanut gallery. Oh, ignore the peanut gallery. The other person just kept spouting mostly debunked stories and stats, says Brandon M. Good debate, but prep history more, he advises to me. Brandon M. does. Because they're always going to bring it up. And he's referencing, for example, this Brenton Langle guy whom I debated brought up Richard Nixon and Ronald Reagan and the war on drugs and the war on... black people, mass incarceration, and give me a break. Bunch of phony complaints, right? Well, thank you, man. And somebody said, hey, James, you seem like a racist, like you're a racist. You sound like a racist, is what they said to me. And that was kind of funny to me, because we all know that that just means you sound like you're telling the truth. And it was interesting because this guy said, one lady, I think, her Twitter user name, or whatever this thing, Twitter handle, @devout_atheist_. And it looks like it's a woman who's like cross-legged doing this thing. This thing for the listeners, for the audio listeners, can't see me. They're doing, holding their hands together like they're doing this weird meditation thing. I understand and appreciate, this is what Devout Atheist says. I understand and appreciate the golden rule of MDD, modern day debate, is to attack the argument, not the person. But come on! All James contributed to this debate was a barrage of racist commentary and nothing else. Meaning true commentary. I had a strong, visceral reaction to every single statement James made. Sickening. And so Brenton Langle reacted to that. And by the way, I am in touch with him. I'm probably bring him on my show. He said that's certainly understandable to her. There were a few opinions that most would consider quite inflammatory, even by modern-day debate standards, MDD. Though I like to think they were made more out of ignorance than malice. And it's so funny, it's so rich that people are calling the so-called racists. It's kind of like with this mask thing, the vaccine thing, and everything else. Or the questioners of the various establishment narratives, right? That turn out to be not entirely true. Most of the time, the people who are called racist are much more knowledgeable, and most of the time, the people who are, say, questioning the vaccine or questioning the masks, they're much more knowledgeable and well-read than the people calling them ignorant. You guys know what I mean? So he just thinks it's ignorance. So I think of that as sort of a communist ploy or a Satan thing, because they say, oh, you sound ignorant. But meanwhile, I'm telling stuff that I know to be true from like years of looking at this stuff. Anyway, I'm not into citing sources. So just had to share that with you. Isn't it interesting? You ever been called ignorant when they're the ones who are ignorant? And it's true. It's funny too, because this Brenton Langle guy ignorantly made statements in another debate, and that's what brought me onto this whole debate too. That's why modern day debate guy invited me on. He was making ignorant statements, just like the blacks do, about Breonna Taylor. Oh, she was shot asleep in her bed. No, that's an ignorant statement, and that's a lie. Oh, this or that. Or when I said that blacks kill cops at like 4 times the rate as non-blacks do, he said, that's kind of like saying, that's apples and oranges, he said. Irrelevant. They just shrug it off as irrelevant or ignorant when it's the truth. What a mess. Anyway, thank you guys for the super chats and the support. Shout out to Brandon M. Racist equals white man with facts, says Dan East. Yeah. Sounds like her issue, name them too, says. Yes, indeed. Very true. You know, I am going to get to your calls. I want to talk about this Afghanistan situation. You guys were right. You know, I was like, oh, casualties doesn't mean killed. Well, actually, indeed, it did mean killed. I know that casualties can mean killed or injured, but yesterday we were talking about the Kabul bombings. It was sort of new news for me and many of you. In Kabul, Afghanistan, some people did something. I laugh, but it's evil what they did. They did suicide bombs. And 2 of them at the Kabul airport. And killed 13 Americans and maybe like 95 other people too.
Some people did something.
Yes, indeed. I know how you feel, Ilhan Omar. Some people did something. Isn't that kind of, I don't know, in spite of myself, where's Super Dave? Is Super Dave still attracted to her? Super Dave, I shouldn't be pulling his name through the mud. Super Dave, shout out to Canada. He thinks that she is so attractive, or he used to. I like that voice, though. Gross, says Chris. Indeed, it is gross. And speaking of gross, I'm going to talk about Dylan Roof today, who also probably thinks that's gross, this miscegenation stuff. Miscegenation being interracial dating and marriage and mess, right? Actually, it's not dating, because dating, you're not supposed to be having sex, and miscegenation is the actual sex act, right? But it's so wrong. They killed 13 Americans, and I was watching a young man whom I watch sometimes, and I like to keep up with his tweets. Not that I entirely agree with him, but he's pretty solid as a reporter, and he's a free speech activist, and his name is Mike Cernovich. He's been on the Jesse Lee Peterson show multiple times, even guest hosted the show in the past when JLP and I went out of town. And he's appeared on The Fallen State and spoken at a men's conference. Cussed a bunch of times at that men's conference. His speech is online. But he made the point that this was because of Sleepy Joe and all of his so-called team, their weakness. That these American soldiers were killed. And he's a veteran. He's so-called served, right? I say so-called because all these people who so-called served or quote-unquote served in the military, yeah, in some cases they did sacrifice for America, or they do have actual love for America. But a lot of them are just like, they did it for the money, for the more opportunities, or to exploit. Even illegal aliens are joining the military. And some people are joining the military to get training for their gangs, criminals, right? So it's so evil. But anyway, he's like, and he was mad. And rightly so. It's so, I mean, you don't have a right to be angry, but it's so wrong. Sleepy Joe. And then he's pretending, oh, I lost my son, who's it, Beau Biden? And, you know, he's had a wife who died in a car accident, I think, or something like that, or a daughter and a son. Son died of some type of cancer at a bit young of an age. And then his other son who's surviving is kind of a mess. Although I kind of like him. I like how he's selling paintings and stuff. Hunter? Where's Hunter? He's not doing as much damage to America as Sleepy Joe has been, being a leech in the government, right? And all the rest of it. They allowed this stuff to happen. There was 0 soldiers killed in the last year, says Uncle Ted 88. Yeah, it's so ridiculous. And I read to you in Hake News at the end of hour 1 of the Jesse Lee Peterson show today, Antony Blinken, a joke of a person who got clowned by, like, China for, oh, you talk big about human rights, but you have Black Lives Matter running around accusing you of human rights violations. And that's a fair statement because this whole human rights thing is completely phony. Everybody knows it. So anyways, within hours of this news breaking out in Afghanistan, and I do have some calls to get to about it. Yeah, he got wrecked. And then I read to you Milley. Is Milley the guy who said, oh, I want to understand white rage? Is it Milley? Yeah, Mark Milley, I think. He's like the chief of staff guy, something like that. And he wears all of these ribbons. I forget what I called them. But it's all this phony decoration, resting on his laurels, and resting is right because he's fat. I used to respect old fat men because they're old and they've been around and they look like they're tough and they look like they're no nonsense. But this guy's a phony liberal, and so is that guy, Mad Dog Mattis. Did a photo shoot looking all stylish with his bags under his eyes. Psh, give me a break. The point is, these people are phony liberals. They support Black Lives Matter. They support the enemies of America, and they're in America, and they are enemies of America. Anyway, within hours of this news of the Kabul bombings, the hashtag Biden must resign trended on Twitter. I chuckle because fat chance, give me a break. Another trending hashtag was, this must have been liberals, President Pelosi. Gross. The Speaker of the House, nervous Nancy Pelosi. Hat tip to our real president, Donald J. Trump. The evil Democrat from California who went and got special treatment like she's a queen. She's third in the line of succession to take over as president. If Sleepy Joe and cackling Kamala Harris were both impeached or removed under the 25th Amendment, then Nancy Pelosi would be in charge. Man, how disgusting. It's not just Sleepy Joe and cackling Kamala who are embarrassing. Nervous Nancy Pelosi, that's a total embarrassment. Shame on the gays who elected her over and over again. I say gays because gays are disproportionately represented in San Francisco, and that's where she's from, right? But it's not just gays who vote for her. There are male Democrats, can you believe it, who voted for her. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell. Oh, by the way, let me read Nervous Nancy's quote. We mourn the loss of every innocent life taken. Yeah, no, you don't. You support abortion. And she's supposed to be Catholic, right? Isn't she Italian? Absolutely should not impeach Biden, says Chris. Yeah. I remember the phonies, though, were like, we can't impeach Obama because then we'll get Joe Biden. He's dumb. Stupid. I think that was just cowardice because they didn't want to impeach the black president, the first black president. Dumb. We mourn the loss of every innocent life taken, said this phony woman, and we join every American in heartbreak over the deaths of the Americans and all killed, said her statement. And Sleepy Joe, by the way, he said, we will not forgive. You're supposed to forgive. That's what your problem is. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, the rhino from Kentucky, the backstabber, he tweeted, it's sickening and enraging to hear that at least 12 U.S. service members have been killed at the hands of terrorists in Kabul. We need to redouble our global efforts to confront these barbarian enemies who want to kill Americans and attack our homeland. He said it was predictably chaotic in the wake of the president's decision to withdraw. He added, our sympathies are also with the families of the innocent Afghans whom the terrorists killed today. Our partners in a long fight against terror deserve better than the dark fate that will await them after the last military aircraft is departed. And he was talking about, was it him or was it somebody, some other rhino? It might have been him. Said we should stay. Something like that. Whatever. Forget him. They're wrong. Mitch McConnell, yeah. Said we should stay, but that wasn't quoted in this article. Josh Hawley called the situation enraging, and he's right about that. He's a Republican from Missouri. Is he a rhino? I don't know. He's young. To say that today's loss in American lives in Kabul is sickening does not begin to do justice to what has happened. It is enraging. And Joe Biden is responsible. It is now clear beyond all doubt that he has neither the capacity nor the will to lead. He must resign. I mean, whatever. It's true, but I'm going to talk about this Ashley Babbitt killer who outed himself. It's ridiculous. The guy is such a, oh my gosh, shameless people. And I'll also talk about the vaccine mandates. It's ridiculous. The nurses are not all for it, by the way. Noises. And of course, some other news. Dylan, did you know that his middle name is Storm? Dylan Storm Roof. A federal appeals court upheld the death penalty against that guy. I'm going to touch on that story a bit and remind you a little bit about his so-called manifesto, The Last Rhodesian, because there have been some liars saying that I don't know, there's been some snakes, including in the snake pit, the live chat. But anyway, first, let me get to some calls. Let me first get to Fred in Maryland. He wants to talk about this Afghanistan situation. Fred, thank you for holding, man. What's up?
Hey, James. How you doing?
Doing well, man. How are you?
Pretty well. I just wanted to comment on the Afghanistan situation. My parents are from there, so I can offer like more of a unique perspective than maybe some callers can.
Cool.
Yeah, basically, long story short, there are bad actors on both sides of this equation. There's no chance that after 20 years of supplying and training soldiers that the U.S. Army, the world's strongest army, can just like fall in a matter of days to like the backwards cavemen. These Taliban are they're like 1,000 years behind the Western world at least in terms of like technology. So there's no way that we're really just losing this war.
Yeah.
Something's really going on. If you look at like the lithium exports and the cell phone boom in the early 2000s, right after the war, right after invasion. If you look at like opium exports, Afghanistan went from like virtually no opium exports to like 95% of the world's exports.
Wow.
It kind of shows you there's there's bad money behind these things.
Right.
And it's just really unfortunate that, we're losing American lives and Afghan lives too.
Yeah. Yeah, that is a shame. It's so evil. So
That's
your parents were from Afghanistan?
Right.
Are they
were born and
Afghans?
raised there. Right. And I was born and raised here. But, when I look at pictures from my parents' times, when I look at their wedding photos,
Yeah.
when I hear about them talk, I mean, it was normal back then. My mom would wear dresses and skirts, and people would wear normal clothes, and women would go to hair salons. And now, under this Taliban rule, it's like 1,000 years backwards. We've gone backwards in time.
Forgive my ignorance, everybody listening, but was it considered sort of Western influenced? Was it occupied by like Britain or one of these colonizers?
It had been in the past. For example, the United States had built high schools in Kabul.
Whoa.
Where many of, my father went to an American high school. They learned English. Many of my uncles and relatives went there. There were German schools, Russian schools. It was more open to the Western world, although it was still, a conservative society, but it wasn't so backwards, and religion wasn't forced on people. It was just a normal aspect of life, just like, Christianity was here in the last, maybe 100 years ago, 50 plus years ago.
Yeah.
So this whole extremism, this is like a new concept relatively. This isn't how people used to live. So I just wanted to provide that perspective on it.
Were your parents raised Muslims?
Yeah, they're raised Muslim, but the society wasn't like a religious society in the sense where like it was forced on people. It was just a normal thing, like decency was more common than like forced religion,
Right. And were you raised Muslim as well?
I am, and it wasn't pushed on me. I was free to kind of choose.
Yeah. And
so that's where I kind of gravitated towards. But I guess the point I really want to make is these people who are representing Taliban in Afghanistan now, these are not the average Joe. This is like, it's as if the KKK represented America. It's a false sense of reality.
Right. No, so the normal people over there they're just basically intimidated into submission.
Yeah, and from what I gathered, like speaking to my parents growing up, it was like more out of ignorance than anything else. Like in Afghanistan, they speak Farsi, most of them, or some of them speak Pashto.
Okay.
But the Quran, like the Muslim Bible, is written in Arabic. And so I was like, one day I was reading it, the English translation, and then my dad was like, something, what does it say? And I was like, well, and he was like, no, we actually didn't even have a translation growing up. We just kind of had to like learn the Arabic of it, and no one really did that. So
yeah.
So it's really more out of ignorance than malice, and people. I just wanted to give that perspective on it, that what you see on the media isn't necessarily the average person. It's more of the extreme, the extreme guy.
Right.
Gets the attention.
Are your parents your parents more Gen X or more Boomer? Like, are they in their 50s or more like 60s, 70s?
60s, 70s. They were more boomers. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting, man. Well, I
So
appreciate
just
that.
wanted to provide that aspect of it. Yep. Thanks a lot for your time, and shout out to the JLP chat. Fresh Prince. Take care.
Oh, yeah, you're Fresh Prince. Thanks, man. Take care.
Yep.
You too.
All right, bye.
Bye. Wow. Shout out to Fresh Prince. I didn't know Fresh Prince was a Muslim. Salute. Caller is on point. People weren't so bad 100 years ago. They actually had respect even for their enemies, says OD Red Skull. Yeah, I remember I saw like pictures of, I didn't know if it was Afghanistan or Iran or one of these other countries, but they were like having fun, going to the beach, not being so weird. But now they have like burqas where they cover everything, and it's so creepy. Could have a bomb under it. I remember some Israeli soldiers got like stabbed by someone in a burqa. I don't know if it was a woman. Wow, terrible. Let me talk with another person. Tony in California wants to talk about Afghanistan. How are you doing, man?
Hey, how you doing, Hank?
Doing fine.
Wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, I see a war is a tragedy, regardless how it goes or who started it or who's ended it. But, when you go to war, you're going to have casualties, you're going to have mayhem, and you're going to have corruption.
And incompetence when Sleepy Joe's involved.
Well, I wouldn't say so fast. I wouldn't speak so fast on that, sir.
Oh, yeah, I will.
If I know you would, but let me give you a little insight on something. Donald Trump, he's the one that freed the Taliban from prison.
Nice.
He's the leader of the Taliban leader, and 5,000 followers that he freed in 2019, I believe. And that's the reason why we're going through what we're going through today.
Oh, okay. It's not Sleepy
wrong,
Joe's incompetence.
Wait a minute.
Weakness.
If I'm wrong, correct me. If I'm wrong,
I'm correcting you.
On the free Taliban 5,000 people that Donald Trump freed from prison.
Nice.
And then
Good.
he wants
political
to bring
prisoners.
Well, the thing is, sir, we wouldn't be going through this if he had
Aren't you the same person who listens to these people who complain about mass incarceration of colored people? Black and brown.
What's a color people?
Black and brown.
People here.
Black and brown.
Well, Donald Trump had the prison reform also. So that's where that came from also, sir.
So are you happy about that? Are you happy that blacks were freed?
I don't have no comment on that because I mean, if you did your time, it's time for you to come out back into society.
What did you do to Earl? Where's Earl?
I don't know Earl. Okay,
Wow.
only thing I know about Earl is when he called the show. But the thing is, sir.
That's like what Peter said about Jesus. I don't know the man. And then the cock crowed after the third time denying.
I don't know about Jesus either because that's to me that's make believe stories.
Right.
That was a story taken from the Egyptian god of Kemp.
Chad says. Chad Tucker says.
Turned it into Jesus.
Chad Tucker says, "Stop carjacking people."
Okay, well, tell whoever he is to get a job. Go get a job.
All right.
That's what he can do.
Get a job, Chad Tucker, if you don't already have one.
Well, the thing is, this, Hank, we've been over there for 20 years. We supplied them, babysitted them, and gave them weapons. And what they do? They dropped it on the ground and took off and tucked their tail and ran.
Reminds me of other people who got undeserved help. Other people right here in America who squander the help that we give them. They're too busy being on drugs and killing each other and being a mess.
Who is that? That's everybody. Everybody in America is an immigrant. Everybody.
No, they're not. That's a lie, Tony.
This whole country is a country.
If you're an immigrant, Tony, then get on out of here.
What? Do what? I leave if you leave. How about that?
I'm not leaving. I'm not an immigrant. I'm American.
You're an immigrant.
No, I'm a native. I'm a native-born American.
If your DNA if they do a DNA test, they won't find America nowhere in their blood. All they
Because
gonna find
America
is
is not DNA. America is what I am.
What is that?
DNA
What
is a fake news.
Okay. So
You
there
don't even
go.
know what you don't even know what DNA stands for.
There
What does DNA stand for, Tony?
No. You say America. You use they'll find America.
America is not DNA, dude. Stupid.
That's what you said. That's what you just said.
I just said I'm American. I'm a native-born American. America is not DNA, though, dummy.
Okay, but I talk about your culture. Where your culture from?
America.
Where your heritage from?
America.
No, it ain't.
Yes, it
Your
is.
family came from. You said you Dutch or something.
I never
Irish
said
or
I'm
something?
Dutch. You're a liar.
Irish? How about Irish?
Maybe there's an Irishman way back when. That man was Irish, but I'm American.
Okay. But y'all, you are Irish, bro.
No,
You are
I'm American.
Irish. No, once again.
The
explain
Irish
to me
are
what is
degenerates. They're
America.
basically the Mexicans of the whites.
The name of this country is not America. It's called
Yes, it
the
is.
United States. It's
United
called the
States
United
of
States.
what? Of what? United States of what?
I don't know.
Of America,
immigrants.
dummy.
Immigrants. Of immigrants.
United States of
United.
immigrants. This guy's making up stuff.
That's it. That's what this country is. It's full of immigrants.
No, it's not.
That's all it is.
False.
And we just trying
False.
to get along, but the white man
You're silly.
don't want that to happen.
You're silly.
Y'all always
You
wanna
are
put
silly.
division in everything.
Nation
If you
of
look at the
immigrants.
applications,
Nation of
every
immigrants.
application-
Dumb.
every application
That shows, Tony, that you do not
they
think for
always-
yourself.
Excuse me.
You
Every
do not think for
application you fill
yourself.
out-
You just repeat dumb
Well,
stuff that dumb,
because-
evil people say.
Because you don't want me to speak the truth.
We
to you, that's
conquered.
all.
Uncle Ted 88 says we conquered
You
this
took-
land.
You took and killed and stolen this land.
We rightfully
raped-
stole it.
And you rightfully raped.
Yes, rightfully so.
Okay. And yes.
And so it's ours, and this is America.
Fine.
Live in reality,
So raping,
dummy.
so raping is okay for white people to do. That's what you're saying.
Maybe
you said
so.
rightfully.
Maybe so. There's a time for everything.
Okay.
You said there's a time
so
for
it's
murder.
to rape?
You
It's a
said
time for
last
rape?
time, Tony, you said last time there's a time for murder. What an evil person.
Yes, it is. When you
You
come
said
in
that
my house,
time is when it's
time for you
innocent
to die.
babies.
If you come in my house uninvited, it's time for you to die. Point blank.
Wow. So, well, you'll get in more trouble than the
But-
intruder,
but
by the
to
way.
rape- but to rape somebody, to take disadvantage of somebody, to child
But
rape
you have no
and to-
idea what happened in the past. You weren't around. You're just making up
Come
stuff.
on, man. I mean, everything is written, man. Come on, what you talking about? You don't
Lies
wanna-
are written
that's why you
too.
don't want-
Is it
that's why
possible
you
to
don't
write a
want-
lie? Tony, is it possible
that's
to
why
write a
you don't
lie?
want this to be
Tony,
taught-
Tony,
Huh?
Tony, is it possible to write a lie?
Yes, that Bible
Thank you.
read is a lie. Yes,
Thank
that
you. So
Bible,
then why are
yes.
you believing
But
the
history-
lie that people
but
were
the
raped?
history-
Give me a break.
But the history of slavery ain't no lie.
No,
Is
there's
that
a
a
lot
lie?
of lies regarding slavery.
No. Wait, did America have slavery?
Yes, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Okay, but there's nothing wrong to make a human being less than an animal. Is that what you're saying?
That's not what slavery is.
Christianity.
A slave is more than an
Mr.
animal. Slaves were more
Mr.
expensive than animals, I think.
Mr. Christian man.
Most of the time.
It's okay to treat
If they
a
were good
human
workers
being less
and
than an
strong.
animal.
That's not less than an animal. You're making up imaginary
No, I know,
things.
that's
You're like a
nothing, man.
woman.
Come on, keep it real. Why do you think
That is real. A
No,
slave is
why
more
you think
valuable
that
than an
freedom-
animal, dummy.
Why? Yeah, okay, but still, you
Thank
treat
you.
them. Treatment.
Thank you.
Treatment. Humanity.
Treatment?
How
No,
much
we
humanity
treated
is
them
it?
well. We sheltered them.
Get
Many
the-
animals were not
get-
sheltered.
Get the. You
We
know
even
what?
enclosed them. We fed them. We even taught them
And what-
Christianity. We did
okay,
not
so why
teach
did you-
Chris.
so
Hold
why
on,
did you
Tony.
pay 'em?
Tony.
Why did
Tony.
you pay 'em?
Listen, man. If slaves were treated less than animals, then why did we treat this? We teach the slaves Christianity. You don't teach animals Christianity.
Because it's all about obedience. Religion is about
No, it's
obedience.
for their eternal
Point blank.
souls. We love their eternal
Man,
souls
yeah,
because we knew that they
get
were
the-
human. You
get
are a
the-
liar. I have a caller who
the-
wants
you know
to
what?
talk to you.
Okay, well, put him on. Put the white man on.
I don't know for sure if he wants to talk to you, but I'll give him the opportunity if he wants to. If not, I'll put him back on hold.
Bring
it's
the
a-
white man on there.
I don't know if he's white. Why you profiling? There are some sensible.
that-
There are
that
some
what
sensible
America do.
blacks.
That's what America do.
There are some sensible blacks, dude.
Where they at?
They call into my show now and then. Art from Ohio,
Right.
William
Yeah.
from California, Jesse Lee Peterson, Joel Friday, no longer here.
Yeah, that's why Joel left.
And
He got tired of the lie.
KT from DC. Tony from Chelsea, also Detroit area. Christian from Canton, Michigan. Lord
Wait,
Grimm,
come on, man. You
he has a
wasting
little
my
black in
time
him.
On this foolishness you talking about. Just talk about
The
real
great,
shit.
the
Stop
great
the-
Alan West. That's at least like
Alan West.
that's
Alan
more than
West.
that's.
Ain't he dead? Ain't he dead?
No, Alan West is not dead. I don't think. What the heck?
Oh.
Anyway, let me bring in Jeff from Los Angeles, or maybe it's Louisiana. Louisiana. Thank you, Daniel. Daniel's smart. First time caller, Jeff in Louisiana. Do you want to talk to Tony, Jeff?
Oh, what's up now? I didn't crack it. Hold on. Man, hey, what nationality are you?
Say that
What
again.
did he say? I can't understand.
I said, just answer. What nationality are you, Hake? Are you American or are you Irish American? What?
I'm American.
Okay, see, that's the problem is you got somebody older than you talking to you right now that claims to be African American. You're not from Africa, dude. You're from America.
Yeah,
You want
Tony,
me to
do
have
you?
to go
Good
to
point.
Africa?
No.
Tony, do you call yourself? Are you
dude.
African American, Tony?
I call myself a black man. Point blank.
Okay, where's your national?
What's your
Then why are you
nationality?
bitching about-
My nationality came from Africa.
Ah, see,
why are you
loser.
bitching about why are you bitching about race then or slavery? You weren't a slave. Nobody in your family was a slave.
My ancestors were slaves.
Good
My
point.
ancestors-
Good point. Why are you
Guess what,
complaining
man?
about slavery? Give me a
Our
break.
ancestors were slaves years ago. Our ancestors were slaves years ago. There's been slavery across the world, man.
Who is your
There's been
slave?
slavery across
Who
the
is your slave? Who is your slave?
His
what
ancestor.
Who's your slave, man? Who's your slave? Answer that question. Who's your slave?
Thank you, Tony. I mean, Jeff.
I mean, I don't even know
Man,
what
just answer the question. If you go back and point to me that...
Are you a European?
Man, shut up for a minute. Shut up for a minute. Listen. If you go back and point 100 years ago and say, this is my ancestor, this is a slave,
I put him on
pay reparations. But until then, no. If you
Repeat.
go back 100 years ago and say...
Hold on, Jeff.
if you go back
Repeat what you just said because Tony was talking. I put him on hold.
Okay, if he can go back 100 years and say my grandma was a slave, fine. I'll pay reparations, all this probably bullshit. But, man, we're all slaves.
I know.
Throughout the whole world, there's been slaves. Throughout the Bible, there's been slaves. There's been white slaves, there's been black slaves. Guess what? It's not our fault that we got, or it's not the white man's fault that got them from Africa. It's the fact is people from Africa are trying to sell and make money.
Yeah.
So that's why we got slaves from Africa.
And you know what? I wouldn't even pay reparations if it was 100 years ago or 5 years ago. That was the deal. They were rightfully bought and sold, and we took care of them, or the slave masters took care of them, and then they were, if anything, the slave masters whose slaves were taken from them without their permission or without any real deal being made, they should get reparations because they lost their property. The black slaves were their property, and they lost their property. And now blacks today are causing more damage than ever. They should be paying reparations for the damage they're causing.
Exactly, man. That's the point. Is if you want reparations, fine. We'll pay you a couple $100 a month. But if you don't, if you want to say you were taken from your homeland, shit, let's send you back to Africa. Let's go out to the jungle and figure out how to make it.
Let me bring Tony back to see if he has. Let me bring Tony back on. Tony.
Okay.
Tony, you're back on the air.
Yeah.
I had put you on hold because you were talking over Jeff very rudely.
Oh, but Jeff can come in and interrupt my whole conversation. There,
No,
right?
he asked you a
Because
question
he's a
and you weren't
because he's a
even
white man.
listening.
What? Because he told me
Just
to
like
shut
now.
up. I'm not his child. I'm not his child. He's not gonna disrespect me. I don't give a damn
That's-
who he is.
But it's not disrespect. He's asking you.
I asked you a simple
once
question,
again,
man.
once again, what was your question?
Nice.
I don't remember
What
now.
was
It's
your
about 20 minutes since you've run over me, so I don't know what I was asking. I mean, you can go back and
So you
play the video,
you
but
can't think for yourself.
I know,
You
but
can't think
yes,
then,
you
okay.
can't
I
think
asked
for
you a
yourself,
question.
Tony. He asked you what your nationality was, and you said my nationality is from
told him.
Africa.
That's it. It is. I'm black.
Blind
Where
person.
do you think black people originated from?
America.
You said a lie.
That's not
you
a lie.
come from America.
You
Tony.
originated
You
from
come
America.
He said where my heritage.
Where
from.
were you born?
I said from Africa.
He didn't ask you your heritage. He asked you your nationality. Nationality
I
is
said
your
black. I
citizenship.
said black.
See, that's the problem with the language
No,
thing. We're not on the language first grade English, so people can't understand language.
You
Yeah.
didn't ask me my citizenship. You did not say citizenship.
He said
Why you always
nationality.
trying to
I
twist
said your
it?
nationality, Tony. I said, what do you qualify yourself as?
I said
American or
black.
whatever?
Black.
Black's not
So he's a
nationality.
black is not a nation, dude. Or It kind of is.
I've never seen a black on the map before.
It's a
I guess I
wannabe
go
nation.
to the top again.
They wish they were a nation, but be careful what you wish for.
And don't worry, it's going to be even called America pretty soon. It's going to be America/B.
Yeah.
That's what it's going to be.
Wasn't there a nation from Black Americans that was made back in Africa? What was that nation called?
Man, don't give me a line. I can't answer that.
Yeah. Anyway.
Well, I don't want to jump down my throat again because it's something incorrect.
You saying that slaves was like, why didn't the slaves get some type of money so they can build for themselves?
Because we're not a communist country. They can build for themselves without that money. They can probably do better without that money.
No.
Yes.
400 years, 300 years of no payment.
Nobody even lives that long nowadays. Tony, give me a break.
Was not allowed to read. Was not allowed to. You would get murdered if you read a book.
Okay.
Name one 300-year-old person
Let
that you
him
know.
finish talking. I'll give a response to him. If
What
he'll
they got to
finish.
do? So why we can't talk on the history then? Why we can't talk about the history?
You
when
can.
y'all
It's
don't
just
wanna put it in
nonsense.
school? What,
Okay,
how is it
so-
nonsense? It's the truth. It's the truth. Y'all want to put it in school. You
The
don't want your kids to
Okay,
learn about it.
I got a question for you here. Shut up.
Thank you.
Okay,
You're sitting here
what's
talking
your
about
question? What's your question, boy? What's your question, boy?
Don't call me boy, motherfucker.
Hey, Jeff, keep it clean, man.
I'm sorry, man. I'm tired of this dude. He comes off every day. He comes on here right on shit off.
I know.
Every day he
Keep
runs
it
stuff off.
keep it clean, Jeff.
But he don't get.
Okay,
Don't let him get to you.
Okay, dude. Okay, Tony.
Listen.
I'll be nice. I will say Tony.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, man.
Tony. Man,
I'll
see,
put
you hear
him
my
on
next
hold. I'll
question?
put him on hold if he doesn't be quiet. Go ahead, Jeff.
Okay, you're saying that slavery was all this stuff. Y'all weren't allowed to read or learn or nothing else. Then why did we just have to lower the academic standards in Minnesota for y'all not have to learn to read, write, or do arithmetic at a 12th grade level to pass?
Yeah.
Explain that.
It is bad.
I
Did
mean,
you catch
that's
that?
all
Did you
question.
catch what he said, Tony?
I can't understand what he's saying.
Okay, let me. I know it is. Yeah, his phone is a little messed up. Tony, let me tell you what he said. Let me paraphrase what he said.
What you say?
Why did we lower the standards so that blacks don't even have to read and write at a high level, at a typical standard level, so that blacks can pass for different things? Why are we lowering the standards for blacks?
Because for one thing for sure, two things for certain, they was not allowed to go to that school. They was not allowed to bring blacks into that school. And they when they said, okay, we'll get affirmative action to make. When? I don't know the date, sir. I'm telling you the history, though, of white America.
This is pathetic. In other words, in other words, blacks are leaning on excuses, and it's making them worse. It's making them less able to qualify themselves.
So basically, I go back to Adam and Eve, so I can't read or write because Adam and Eve didn't know how to read and write, correct? That's a standard now.
Reading and writing?
No, I'm saying I can go back and say Adam and Eve didn't know how to read and write.
Right.
So I shouldn't know how to.
Adam and Eve didn't know how to read and write, so I shouldn't know how to. That's basically what Tony is saying. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, if we're going with that standard, what's the standard in this country?
Yeah.
Man, Adam and Eve is a make-believe story.
You don't have to. Okay, what'd you say, man?
Don't you understand that, boy?
He said,
boy, don't you understand that?
Tony, why are you being so disrespectful?
You won't shut up for a minute.
Oh.
I asked you a question. I said, what?
I can't call him a boy because he's white.
Because shut up is trying to get a conversation going. Calling him boy is
just
trying to be
asked you what
provocative.
you said.
Excuse me.
I just asked you what you said, and you call me boy. I just asked you what you said. Is all I said. What did you say?
Yeah, well, I told you what I said, boy.
No, you didn't, because you was going, boy. You didn't answer while I
All right,
What
guys.
did you say? I asked a simple question. What did you say? I mean, it's not a difficult question.
Why don't you want your children to learn about history of slavery?
Man, I know all about slavery. I don't have children. We've all read the history books, but I don't know what's going on.
He doesn't have children, and that's not even his argument. You're making up stuff.
Okay.
I'm asking the question.
I learned about slavery. I want people to know the real truth about slavery, not to be ashamed of it.
What's the real truth? What's the real truth? That they was not compensated for working from sun up to sundown? They was not.
Yes, they were. They were fed and housed. Give me a break.
I'm not.
Anyway, Jeff wants to ask you a question, Tony. Go ahead, Jeff.
I don't want to ask a question. I'm trying to answer. I'm not being disrespectful. I'm being trying to answer this question.
I put Tony on hold.
I'm not trying to ask a question. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I've been trying to answer this question for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And he will not shut up for 2 seconds. Everybody knows about slavery and about history. They're reading history books. We're looking for, if you want history, go to a history book, a textbook, and read it.
Right.
Go to a library, read encyclopedia. You'll learn about it. But what he is spewing is not history.
Yep.
That's revisions on what they want or what he wants to speak now. There's no truth in. I mean, there's truth in what he's saying, but it's revised history. It's not history.
Yep. Very true.
I mean, that's the point. We're learning about history in school. Dude, my 7th grade American history teacher taught slavery and everything else was a black man. His name was Donnell. He was 50-something years old when I had him. That was a favorite teacher I ever had because he spoke history about truth, about history.
Yeah.
He didn't teach all this bullshit. It's part of the moment. He didn't teach all this bullshit we're on now. He taught American history, and he was the best teacher I ever had, and I loved his class. I took it. I got to question him. I was another year in my 8th grade year. I questioned him because he taught us history.
Nice.
He didn't teach all this stuff just to holler about, well, we have slavery, we want this, we want that.
Yeah.
Dude, man, slavery's been all over the world.
Yeah. And Jeff, was that teacher white or black or what?
He was black. He was a 50-year-old black man.
A black guy?
Yeah, he's a 7th grade history teacher. He was the best teacher I ever had, and he taught American history. The only thing funny about his class was we had to watch Roots.
Oh gosh.
for our class project.
Right.
And every time I say, "What's your name?"
Boy.
He'd fast forward it.
Oh, he fast forwarded.
He'd fast forward.
Okay.
Yeah, and if you missed a word, he could oops.
Yeah.
Man was a great teacher, but he's a black guy, and he was.
Okay.
Oh, shit, man, that was 20 years ago.
Yeah. Well, thank you, man. Let me get Tony's response to this, and then we'll got to wrap this up. Go ahead.
For sure.
You have any response to that, Tony, about real history and about how blacks didn't used to be so revisionist like you are?
Well, you know one thing?
Do you know what revisionist means?
They didn't have the opportunity or the right to be revisionist. If they did, they would get locked up or got killed or murdered or hung. Okay, speaking their mind. Okay,
that's not their mind, man.
Go ahead with that bull crap y'all speaking on, because we already know the real deal of America.
All right.
And
well,
I wonder how many black friends you have coming to your house having sit around and kick it with. 0.
I don't need them.
That's the wrong. That I ain't talking to you. I was talking to that boy who was on the other end.
Jeff.
Whatever his name
He's a
was,
man.
Jeff Paul or Keith, whatever his name is.
Jeff, do you want to answer? Do you want to give that dumb question the dignity of an answer? How many black friends you have?
I got one question, man. Can I buy a ticket back to Africa tomorrow? I'll get you first class.
Say that again.
Oh,
you telling him if he wants to fight, you'll give him a first class ticket to fly over and fight?
I said if he wants to go to Africa tomorrow, I'll buy him a first class ticket. If he's been to the country this much, he can have a first class ticket on me.
Okay, he will fly you to Africa if you stay in Africa.
Please send me a ticket. Send it.
No, Tony's bluffing.
Send it.
I send it.
He ain't got no money to send nothing. That's why.
All right. Well, thank you, Tony. Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate it, man. Anything else, Jeff?
No, man, I'm good, man. Y'all have a great day. And if you can keep on hollering, they don't for a show if you don't call in every day hollering about bullshit.
I know.
You must for a show. If somebody calls a civilized voice talks to you, it'd be better.
Keep saying bullshit.
I put Tony on hold.
Man,
Jeff,
I'm just saying, man.
Jeff,
you have a good show.
Keep it clean, man. Appreciate it, man. Appreciate you. Have a good one. All right. Thank you. Take care. Tony, last words from Tony.
How in the world did he keep saying bullshit?
I put him on hold because I don't want him to cuss again. Tony, he was obviously amped up, and so I let it slide, but I told him keep it clean. He's just expressing himself. He's not used to calling all the time, so he's not used to having to man his tongue. You know better. So if you cuss on my show, you will be banned because you do know better.
The white boy get away with it.
Tony, did you hear what I said? Tony.
How did a white boy keep getting away with it?
First answer my question. Did you hear what I said?
What?
You didn't hear what I said. I said
I heard that you were banning the
I said
black
that-
man, but you won't ban the white man.
because he didn't mean it. He didn't mean to.
He didn't mean it, but he kept repeating it.
I know, because he's not used to calling into my show. He's not
Oh,
used to
my
this.
God.
He's used to speaking
Go
his
ahead,
mind.
keep making excuse. This is a true American way. Privilege all day, every day.
That's right. Get used to it, buddy. Nice talking with you, Tony.
No.
Have a good day.
Y'all dying off, bro. And you too.
All right. Bye. Wow. What a mess. I need a sip of water or something. Tony should be banned. Somebody said Tony should be banned. Anyway. Well, thank you guys. Appreciate the calls. Whew. I got other callers on hold, a couple of first-time callers. But I feel like I want to talk briefly in the last 3 minutes of this first hour here about Michael Byrd. What a mess. Michael Byrd, he outed himself because he's too Tony-like. Am I wrong for saying dumb? Does Michael L. Byrd, Lieutenant Mike Byrd, seem smart to you, sensible to you, a man of dignity, honor, love of the country, love of his job, love for what's right? Look at this headline from NBC News exclusive. Officer who shot Ashley Babbitt, you know, that white young lady who's voted for Trump, speaks after months in hiding. I saved countless lives. That's what he says. In an exclusive interview with NBC News, Lieutenant Michael Byrd said he opened fire only as a last resort after the rioters failed to comply with his commands. Yeah, right. So this guy talked to that guy, that light-skinned black guy who's on Lester Holt, who's on NBC News. He took over after that one guy who got caught lying. That one white guy who went on to MSLSD, MSDNC, MSNBC. Lester Holt took over as the top guy after... Who's that guy who lied? I'm blanking on his name. But this was covered by the Washington Compost. It was covered on Fox News. The great Tucker Carlson reacted to it and interviewed the widower of Ashley Babbitt, the man, Aaron Babbitt, and his lawyer, Terrell Roberts, because Ashley Babbitt was jumping through a broken window inside of a building that she had no business jumping through. 5'2", 125 pounds soaking wet, according to Tucker, who never lies, Tucker Carlson. And unarmed. But he didn't know whether she was armed or not. It wouldn't have made a difference, though, because I was protecting the lives of the Congress. Yeah, okay. No evidence that anybody would have killed anybody had not he killed her. And even after he killed her, nobody else killed anybody else. Yeah, there was some violence. There was some fighting with the cops. Some guy allegedly threw a fire extinguisher at a few cops. That's not what killed the Trump supporter cop who died within a day of the thing. He had like a stroke or something. I don't know. It was a crazy freak incident. Rest in peace to that officer. There were a few officers who committed suicide within a week of it. Seems shady to some of you. But this male was not outed by anybody but himself. Maybe he wanted to be on TV. I don't know. He saw that there was the liberal support for him, the liberal celebration of Ashley Babbitt's death, unjustified shooting, I would say. I saved countless lives. Yeah, but that's because he can't count, says Nordic Frost. Yeah, I mean, you could probably count how many people were in the Capitol, and I don't think he saved any of their lives. Ashley Babbitt, nor any of those rioters who were overly amped would have hurt anybody. I doubt. James, get over it. She and others broke the law, says Gucci Flare. Oh, yeah, I guess, yeah, if she, I don't know if I suppose she broke the law. She shouldn't have been jumping through that window. In that sense, she did bring it on herself. In that sense, she deserved what she got. And in the good old days, such a tragic story, says Meave. Yeah, it is. In the good old days, that's how rioters were treated, maybe. And if that's how rioters had been treated throughout the Black Lives Matter riots, then maybe I wouldn't be complaining about Ashley Babbitt getting shot by this black cop who doesn't want to take any responsibility and pretends that he's the victim. Oh, I'm getting threats. And Lester Holt, the light-skinned black guy, says, are they racist threats? Oh, yeah, that too, racist threats. Give me a break. Of course they're going to be getting threats. And of course they're going to be pointing out the fact that you're black and inept at your job. Because this guy strikes me as, although he is old, inept. He left, by the way, in 2019. I thought it was 2015. It was 2019. He left his Glock in the men's room at the Capitol. And multiple Capitol officers have left their Glocks in the men's rooms. I've told you guys about this. So it's so ridiculous. And he said, I won't be fired because I'm a lieutenant. He should have said, I also won't be fired because I'm black. And so that's a mess. What a terrible mess. Anyway, guys, I will be taking more of your calls. Kaya is a first-time caller in Texas. Liana in Florida on hold again. And more callers. And I want to talk about the vaccine madness and the great injustice against the white Americans that has prompted some whites to get angry and commit evil, including Dylan Roof, who they're returning evil for even greater evil, right? The evil people. Loretta Lynch sought the death penalty against him. Loretta Lynch being Obama's other affirmative action attorney general. What a mess. But anyway, guys, somebody said, oh, Hake did something. What did they say? What did they say? I think Hake killed Bright Lights. No, I think Hake's evil twin killed Bright Lights, says Mighty Mike. No, is this Bright Lights we're about to play? Yes, indeed, Bright Lights is alive because I ran out of Johnny Respect songs to play. So enjoy John Parfit, also known as Bright Lights, on this track, and we shall take a break. Enjoy, guys. I'll be right back for the rest of hour 2.
If I find myself, I'll let you know. But till then, my love, I got to go. If you hold on too tight, you will know. 'Cause your heart will break when I let you go. 'Cause your heart will break, break, break. 'Cause your heart will break when I let you go. 'Cause your heart will break, break, break. 'Cause your heart will break when I let you go. Go, my love, I got to go. If you hold on too tight, you will know, 'cause your heart will break when I let you go.
Great line.
Heart will break, break, break.
Don't hold on too tight.
Break when I let you go, 'cause your heart will break.
Bright lights, always nice. Indeed. Savage Pitbull. If you hold on too tight, you will know, because your heart will break when I let you go. That's right. Hold on to nothing. Let go. I think that's a nice message. I love you. Point Fire with a funny joke that I don't know if I should repeat. I don't think this is slut maker music. This song's tremendous. Reminds me of a 38 Special song that says Independence. By the way, Overtaxed in Minnesota says Green Day are commies. I agree, man. That's another reason I don't like Green Day. They made that album American Idiot. Duh. Idiots calling an idiot, you idiots. Uncle Ted 88 asks, you ever listen to LCD Sound System? A little, yeah, I like them. Yeah. John Parfit. Hake likes beta music. True. Is there any other type of music? There's the guy at the beach. Anyway, guys, you sound like a racist. Some super chats, guys. Let me read some super chats. Lin Yan Shin says, you sound like a racist just means, this is a Trovo colorful chat, you stimulate my insecurity, fear, and hatred. You should not have freedom to discern the distinctive nature of others or use that to inform your freedom to associate. Common sense can't be trusted. That's Lin Yan Chin's translation for that woman saying to James, you sound racist. Thank you, man. Lin Yan Chin also says over there on Trovo, regarding my debate performance the other day, your opponent, that's Brenton Langell, in that debate did mention his distrust for common sense. That is proof of how worshiping facts, statistics, and ideals can lead one to score reality as they do their best to evade the present moment by sticking to the script of their preferences, which he calls emotional constipation, which is quite a term. I understand it. Chad Tucker, by the way, says, no Taliban ever imposed homosexuality on my country. Yeah, and they're gloating about that. Let me tell you about slavery. Yeah. Point Fire says Tony sings Disney songs in the shower. I don't know. Name says Chester Bennington killed himself to this song from Bright Lights. I'm spitting. Oh my gosh. That's funny. Poor Chester Bennington. What an idiot, right? Killed himself when he had 6 kids and a wife. Free Ross called that slut maker music. I don't agree to that. Although music it is kind of like a drug, and it does put you in a bad state maybe. Anyway, guys. Oh, man. Okay, so I do want to share with you some information, and I do definitely plan on sharing about the vaccine mandates. I read about it in Hake News to a point, but there was more that I wanted to share with you. And I also want to share with you about Dylan Roof. But first, let me get to some more calls, guys. There is one line open. Kaya, a first-time caller in Texas, is on hold. Kaya, how are you doing?
Hey, James. I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing well as well.
Great. I didn't get to meet you in Orlando. Your presence was a little intimidating. So I saw you at church, and I said, you know what? I'm just going to walk by.
That's funny. I didn't see you walk by. You know, I heard your call the day, I guess the day after, like on Monday you called,
yes.
right?
Yes.
Last week. and you said, I didn't say hi to Hake because he was way too serious. And
Yes,
I think
you-
I fall into that, especially when I'm like busy trying to do my work. I look all
Yes,
serious.
and I can totally respect that. I used to work in a church, and I used to watch like the AV and the all the media and the audio people. They get in the zone, and it's like
Right.
Don't bother them. So as much as I wanted to, I just said, you know what? Let me just say hi to Chris and of course Nick. But anyways, I was listening to Tony. Do you know how old Tony is?
I think that he's in his 50s, maybe even late
Man.
50s, maybe even 60. I forget. He's told me
It is
before.
so disheartening to hear the way that he speaks, and I know it's common among a lot of Black people. I'm Black. I get it. I've at one point was, led to believe that I had something to be angry about for this slavery that happened hundreds of years ago. But when I was growing up in California and in Washington and all these places, we always knew slavery happened, but we were never taught to be angry about it. I at least understood it was an economical decision. It was how part of the country, right, not even the whole United States, but part of how part of the country was built. And nowadays we just keep being like, it keeps on getting brought up to piss us off all over again. But even when you try to get mad, it's so phony.
Right.
Because when the slaves got freed, a lot of people were given land. They stayed in the South or they left. They were successful. They were able to live their lives. My family in California came from Little Rock, Arkansas with nothing. My grandparents married. They had a successful cleaning business. They owned 6 properties. They never were walking around saying some invisible white man was stepping on their neck and that's why they can't. And this is in California.
Yeah, right.
And it's so frustrating the way that we keep on being reminded that we have something to be mad about. We, like Black people.
Right.
But white people were slaves too. They had indentured servants before slavery even took off. You had those railroad children who were literally sold to families as orphans, a whole generation of kids that were just lost and displaced, no history, no true family. You had people that after slavery, Black people that had maids, if you want to call them that,
Yeah.
that lived in their homes for free, took care of their children. Like, it's so exhausting already, this repetitive story of the white man's holding me down. It's like, get over it. It's so annoying. So that's why I was curious, how old is Tony and how many kids did he raise with this same rhetoric?
That's a good question. Maybe he got into, I wonder if he got into that later in life or because I think of him as somewhat of a working man. I think he has like a trucking business or something, and he claims to have several or a number of homes or properties or something like that. So he's done fine for himself as a working man. But then when it comes to all this politics stuff, and he's like a friendly enough person, I think, if you get him just talking normally. But he is lost in this way, and that's reveals something evil in him.
The fact that he's working and has businesses or whatever he has, that alone dispels this racism. Because if America was so racist, no Black person would be succeeding at anything.
Yeah.
We just wouldn't. They're at every turn. And I had this argument with several men when I was still in the Fallen State. We'd get high and talk about whatever. But I just didn't believe it. And I was literally told I don't see it because it's not my experience. I've been Black for 35 years.
Right.
I've lived all over the world. I've worked in corporate America. I've worked in strip clubs. I've worked in restaurants. I've been all over. And not one time can I say that there was some sort of attack on me personally because I'm Black. I mean, maybe sometimes I had a sassy attitude.
Yeah.
Or, maybe I was being a little bit aggressive myself, but it's just not true. And if it were true, there would be literally no success of Black people. It wouldn't be a little bit. It wouldn't be sort of, but my white friends doing better. It's just not true. And it's just,
there's this Jordan B. Peterson makes a lot of people cringe, but he says some true things. And he's said one thing, the smallest minority is the individual. And I don't even think that maybe he didn't come up with it, but he made that point, and that's so true. And the individual is the one who suffers, not the group.
Yes.
And there are every individual has his or her own, because there's only he or she, his or her own struggle or challenges in life that they have to overcome. And a fortune, meaning a lot of money, can be gained and lost inside of a lifetime. So all this 300, 400 years of slavery stuff, nobody even lives that long. And
no one.
And the redlining, they could have built up the places where they were allowed to live, because they claim redlining kept blacks out of nicer neighborhoods. Well, make your neighborhood nice.
I never even heard of that until that long hair beta guy said it on the debate. I had never even heard of, of course I've heard of how...
Nowadays it's the opposite. They're putting blacks in places where they don't deserve to be, and so they're just redistributing the ghetto, which is misguided too.
That's happening. I live in Killeen, Texas, and there's a lot of retired military here that at first kind of built up the city, but now you have an influx of people because they moved to Austin and Georgetown for work, but they come live here. But what's happening here is they're building all these beautiful homes, all these nice neighborhoods, but it's a bunch of black people moving into them because they have the money to do so, and they're turning them into the hood.
Right.
Within, I've been here for 21 years, and over the last 21 years, I've seen some of the nicest areas turn to crap because of the type of people that live there.
Yeah.
So I definitely agree. It's not necessarily some invisible entity of racism that's holding black people down. I 100% agree. It's the lack of moral character. It's the lack of believing in God, actually serving God, not just putting up prayers around your house.
Yeah.
And it's that whole holding on to this anger that it's that victim mentality. It's destroying black people, and now it's spilling over into all ethnicities.
Oh yeah, there's a big temptation amongst all other races, including some whites, to go into the victimhood. They call it the victimhood Olympics. It's sort of a cringy term, but it is a temptation to go into I've been, or stuff that you've been through, or stuff that whites are going through right now, because whites are under attack, and you don't want to get into this competition of who's the bigger victim. You want to victims are pathetic. Victims turn into perpetrators, because victim-minded people become murderers and thieves and terrorists and everything.
And they blame it on what happened to them for an excuse why they can be pieces of crap in life. You know, I have a humble cleaning business that I started because this is America and I can, even though I'm black,
Nice.
And I was so shocked because I grew up I'm 35, like I said, so I grew up, in the 90s, and I had a lot of white friends growing up, and you just didn't see certain things among white people. Like, you didn't see as many single mothers.
Right.
You didn't see as many children that were really just kind of misbehaving and things like that. Well, I was really surprised when one of my clients that I met, she's a single mom, and she's 31 with a 1-year-old baby.
Wow.
And she's white. And I was like, how did this happen to you? So one day I finally asked her, how did you end up having this child and you're not with the father? And I'm not judging her because I was a single mom too, but I'm black. So it's like, duh,
right.
I'm a single mom. But she told me that whenever she got involved with him, she was on vacation and just kind of slutting around, and she got pregnant.
Wow.
And she believed that he was just going to do the right thing and, ask her to marry her and, do the white thing that white people used to do. But he was like, nah, girl, I don't want nothing to do with you. But you see more and more white women that are single mothers having children before they get married. I didn't see that kind of stuff growing up.
Yeah.
But you can also see over the years how we've been kind of conditioned to accept it. Like y'all were talking about with the slut thing the other day, like Girls Gone Wild and all this MTV stuff. We've been conditioned to believe that it's normal. And now we're walking it out as a whole nation, just seeing how demoralized everybody is. It's mind-blowing to see it. But Satan is so busy, and I'm just grateful that I started coming out of that, because trust me, I was definitely on the wrong side of right for a long time and just living for the moment and doing all the crazy things. But one thing I never truly subscribed to was the racism thing. I just never did. I wasn't brought up that way. I always loved white people. When I have white friends and we go do white things, like go to the beach and go hiking, and, you know, their dad would be at the dinner table with us. And I'm like, man, white people really live well, you know?
Yeah. That's funny.
just
Reminds me of Joelle a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I got it from Joelle, and I now say I'm 22% white, which I'm not. My grandmother's grandfather was white, but that's barely in me now. But yeah, white people do stuff different, or at least they used to.
Right.
And
but now it's degenerating.
It's just the truth. Yeah, now it's like they're evil for it, and we should be mad at them for it. And I agree with what you say about discrimination. It's not wrong to prefer to be around or associated with a certain type of people. Black people do it too.
Yep,
Black
of course
people
they do.
discriminate more than anybody.
Yep.
You know, when you have parties and like, I ain't going to that white people party, and you know,
Yeah.
too many white folks here. They do it. They do it too.
I know.
But if you call them out on it, it's wrong. You know. So, anyways, I was just blown away by Tony. He is so sick in the head,
Yeah.
so angry. It is entertaining, but it's also just like, is this guy serious? You know.
It's ridiculous. Yeah, he's
is.
become kind of a joke. So
Yeah, and I wonder if he knows it or if it fuels him. I don't wonder too hard, but
right.
you know, is he fueled by this? When I first started listening to Jesse, Tony would call and Earl, and I remember asking my friend, why do they let these people get on the show? And he would tell me, well, because they still love them, so they're still going to tell them the truth. And I say, okay, I guess I can accept that. But
yeah,
man, they're just exhausting with their denial and
it's
their
definitely
claims.
ridiculous.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I
Also,
appreciate
shout
it,
out to
Kaya.
Nick. So there's that.
Say that again.
Yeah, my pleasure. I said also shout out to Nick.
Nice. All right.
Yeah, I got to keep that going. But I'll be calling again. I really enjoy your show. I just barely started listening
Cool.
a few months ago. I guess I wasn't ready for the white man's truth, but I am listening now, and I really enjoy it. And I like your quirky Christian punk rock,
Nice.
horrible music. I actually like it.
Well, I appreciate it,
All
Kaya.
right,
It's great
James.
to hear from you.
Yeah,
Take
my
care.
pleasure. God bless. Enjoy the parade.
All right. Take
Okay,
care.
bye.
Bye. Yes, we are having the third annual Straight Pride. I don't even really call it a parade. It's more like a rally. And we will be watching out. Antifa is evil. Hopefully there are some Proud Boys who are around to help protect the innocent from the evil, because the Proud Boys are under major attack, but they are innocent of wrongdoing, by and large, vastly. I mean, I don't even know if there's one who's actually guilty of committing evil. I would imagine so, just because the odds are somebody's going to get a little out of hand. But they are smeared. Hopefully Antifa, I mean, I know that there are, when we first went in 2019 to the Straight Pride rally in Modesto, California, Antifa was disallowed from wearing masks because this was 2019, and they know that the police are smart over there, I guess, a little bit anyway. They weren't that smart, but they were a little bit smart, and they said, no masks. Because Antifa, part of the benefit of wearing a mask, like Antifa does, is that they can hit somebody and get away with it because they will never be identified. Well, now, with the China virus excuse, they were wearing masks last year, but at least they were kept on the opposite side of the street. We'll see what happens this year, but if you go, I don't recommend ladies go, but if you go, keep your eyes peeled, your head on a swivel, so to speak. That means just be alert, because Antifa and Black Lives Matter are evil. And honestly, more and more cops are, the decent cops are getting forced out in many different ways of the departments. So there's SJW cops, believe it or not, and they're evil too. So watch out for that. I have some super chats to read before I get to calls, and I do have a story to get to. But first, someone gave a super chat on streamlabs.com/the Hake Report. Shout out to someone. Said, when black callers like Tony and Jeremiah, yesterday Jeremiah called, fail to get under your skin, they just become insanely crass and obnoxious as an alternative to just to annoy you. Yeah. Thank you, someone. Very true. But did you hear how evil Tony? Evil, angry people like to spread the anger. Tony pretends he's not angry, but he is. Because no loving person would celebrate when you, quote unquote, trigger a man into cussing. And that man, Jeff from Louisiana, I think was his name. Was he Jeff from Louisiana? He called in and overreacted to Tony calling him boy, because Tony tries to needle people and get under their skin because he's a woman. And Tony was howling. He was celebrating. The little devil inside of him was celebrating, and he was fully. What is that thing when you're fully going along with the demon inside of you because Tony's possessed? He was loving it. Nothing satisfies a bad mood, even though a bad mood is never satisfied, like spreading it, said Calvin in that Calvin and Hobbes cartoon. So yeah, thank you, someone. Good point. Someone also said, Hake is quick on the trigger today. Indeed, quick on the trigger. Appreciate that. Thank you for this support. Oh, man.
White supremacy.
What the heck? Don't put them on air. Nick, when you're out there, you can actually put someone on air. Okay, before I get to calls, lines are full, guys. Hang tight. I want to talk about the vaccine mandates because I want to get to vaccine mandates and Dylan Roof and the calls. We'll see what I can do. Let's get ready. Nurses warn of staff shortages due to the China virus vaccine mandates. And I'm like, what's that mean? Does that mean the public is getting forced to get so-called vaccinated and so they need nurses to administer the vaccines and so there's not enough nurses to go around? No, that's not what it is. Because many nurses, not even most, but many nurses, many doctors, many so-called healthcare workers. Oh, line 4 is a bot, says Nick. Just repeating, this is Antifa. Stop your white supremacy. The second I hang up, it calls back, says Nick. Interesting. Like no delay. Interesting. Well, Nick, don't let it get under your skin. They are evil people. Antifa is evil. But anyway, there are sensible people who are, thank you, Nick, appreciate it. I said it on air. There are evil people who are trying to force the vaccines on the medical field. And so it's forcing sensible people out of the medical field, just like what I said about cops. So there's a nurse who did not want to get this so-called vaccine. It hasn't been long-term studied. There's been no long-term studies because it hasn't been around for years, right? One nurse who spoke on condition of anonymity said her only solution is if her employer grants her a religious exemption, which appears unlikely at this point. It looks like they're going to reject my religious exemption. They need more information. This is a nurse in the Seattle area. They need more information, but they're not telling me what information they're going to need. It puts me in a really tough situation, she said. I have 2 elderly parents, who live with me. It would be extraordinarily disruptive to move them. It's extremely scary trying to start again somewhere else. So wrong, right? Part of that is like she's set up, and women working too, they're not really set up to handle this type of mess. They can't handle this stress. And so they're stressing, and then this lady is taking care of her parents living with her. I don't know if that's advisable. It sounds like a bad situation, but this forced vaccination mess is even worse. It's unjust. There's another nurse who doesn't want to get this vaccine, Stephanie Thorpe. She's an RN, registered nurse, in the UC Health Colorado system, conflicted over the pending vaccine mandate. Thank you, Sleepy Joe, by the way. Sleepy Joe Biden said, all the private sector people, everyone, require it just because the FDA approved it. This Stephanie Thorpe woman said she too could lose her job if her application for a religious exemption is denied. UC Health reports more than 92% of its 26,000 employees system-wide are quote-unquote fully vaccinated. 8% refused the shots, apparently, right? These medical professionals, including Stephanie Thorpe, the RN, will have until September 1st to comply, or else they will face disciplinary action up to and including termination. And the science is not settled. I saw this shirt that said, if you can't question it, it's not science, it's propaganda. If you can question it, it's science. Something along those lines. That's true. UC Health spokesman, female spokesman, Kelly Tracer said, we do allow a religious exemption or a medical exemption. UC Health faces the same staffing challenges hospitals around the country are. Definitely. It's a national shortage, and they're making it worse. And they're only going to bring the young brainwashed crop of SJW nurses who are for this forced vaccination thing. And the younger people aren't, especially females, aren't as at risk from these things. Although they're probably not going to have babies. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know, right? I don't know what this vaccine does or doesn't do regarding that. I don't know that it's that well studied. Thorpe estimates a couple hundred staunch opponents to the vaccine mandate are willing to walk away because of the vaccines. Right now, UC Health is working short-staffed at many facilities, she said. This is this female spokesman for this. Going back to Stephanie Thorpe, the RN who's refusing it too, she said even if a small percentage of UC Health employees are fired or walk off the job, their departure could be significant. She said, I'm concerned that the people who are vaccinated and are going to stay are going to take the majority of the workload. We can't even get people now to fill positions. It could get very scary. Well, they're being replaced because UC Health says over the past 6 months, more than 4,400 new employees, including 1,100 new nurses, have been hired. And I say that's more young, brainwashed, blind, subverted, incompetent, self-important. You've seen such narcissism in the so-called health world in the past few years. Oh my gosh. Gun control. Oh, I work on gunshot wounds. We need gun control. These stupid, phony doctors. The younger generation. There's one hospital system that isn't forcing them. Ballad Healthcare. Many of them are, right? Ballad Healthcare CEO Alan Levine. He told reporters that mandating shots on the 22 hospital systems remaining 38% of unvaccinated workers would likely worsen an ongoing shortage of workers, right? So he's not forcing them. He wants to comply, right? You know, he's a businessman. Ballad Healthcare. And I show this is weird. It's like this ballot. It's what is this thing called? Badge Buddy. The beautiful South, reporting in Johnson City, Tennessee, WJHL reports, Ballad walks back its Badge Buddy requirement. Ballad Health's Badge Buddy system required unvaccinated employees to display a specific colored orange or reddish card near their badge is gone less than 2 weeks after it started. CEO Alan Levine emailed employees about the walk back of the requirement on Tuesday. This was last month, July 22nd, that this was reported, right? He told News Channel 11 Wednesday he'd made a bad decision for the right reasons. So guys, OSHA. You ever heard of OSHA? Federal Occupational Health and Safety and Health Administration mandate required healthcare employers to develop a plan that determines employee vaccination status. What does OSHA have to do with this? Occupational Safety and Hazard. They don't know. They're blindly jumping to conclusions. It's ridiculous. If the workplace will allow any exceptions to masking, social distancing, and the like, right? So Ballad, this healthcare system, apparently in the Tennessee area too, the beautiful South, they hoped to allow some team meetings, congregate breaks, and other group staff gatherings to become maskless again, right? Don't have to wear a mask. But per OSHA, that can only happen if all staff present are, quote-unquote, vaccinated. Stupid. It's not based on science. The rule is designed to prevent an inadvertent spread of the virus in healthcare settings while allowing a return to some normalcy. Communism. The underlying purpose of the OSHA requirements is laudable. I agree with it, said this Levine guy, Alan Levine. We don't want our team members or staff to be exposed. How we did it, our team members spoke up. Last week, he told employees if they weren't vaccinated or didn't want to reveal their vaccination status, they'd have to wear orange badge buddy cards at work. Vaccinated workers could wear blue badge buddies. But the staff didn't like it. Good for them. That's why I say the beautiful South. Southerners are often more sensible than the rest of the country. That's why they're under a major attack. The orange and blue thing, it was a swing and a miss. Bad decision, right reason. The reason was we needed to comply with OSHA requirements, which were dumb requirements. That's why I say OSHA goes overboard. And many of these other places go overboard. Several nurses were interviewed, going back to this bigger story of nationwide shortages of nurses and stuff. Several nurses interviewed by the Epoch Times said it's their scientific training that gives them pause on this vaccine. Duh. Nurse in Washington said there's a lot of distrust of the vaccine and the media narrative, safe and effective, because the media tends to have a narrative that is not honest about many things. Black Lives Matter, for one. That's huge. Huge lie. There are a lot of credible doctors out there, she said, and they're being shunned by the medical community because they oppose the messenger mRNA vaccines, the ones that change your DNA. Another registered nurse in Virginia said she chose to give notice to her employer rather than be compelled to take the vaccine. This is a new type of vaccine, an mRNA vaccine, that has never been used on humans before, she said, anonymously to the Epoch Times. It's different from any, nice, she said it correctly, is different from, not different than, any of the other vaccines. I'm not against vaccines, she said. I encourage people to get vaccines that have been studied for years. I don't think I'm being hypocritical by saying I'm pro-vaccine but not pro-this vaccine. Interesting, huh? So nationwide, there's a skilled RN shortage, and they can earn anywhere from $70,000 to $130,000, even more in states like California. But you got to get the shot nowadays. But not everywhere, not at Ballad, what is this place? Healthcare. So if you're one of those people, look into it maybe. Just an idea. Just an idea. This is propaganda what these people are saying. Listen to this phrasing. It's like you hear it all the time. This is becoming a pandemic of the unvaccinated, says this Anne-Marie Alamedine, president and CEO, a female CEO of Arizona Hospital and Healthcare Association. Give me a break. It's not even true. You look over in Israel, and you guys know, it's most of the people are vaccinated, and most of the people who are infected and hospitalized are vaccinated too. Supposedly, it diminishes the symptoms, but it's a propaganda phrase. And she likened those employees who get vaccinated to honoring a social contract to keep people safe. Scumbags. Jennifer Bridges, a former nurse at Houston Methodist Hospital, said the thing that's really scary is now hospitals are mandating the vaccine, like everywhere, she said. It's not quite everywhere, but she says that people are, nurses and other staff, contacting me from so many different states. This is that Houston Methodist lady, activist woman. She didn't want to be forced to vaccinate, and she didn't want to have to give a religious or medical exemption thing. And so she was fired or quit. Many others, too, over there. Houston Methodist. An evil judge back in June threw out a lawsuit brought by 117 employees at Houston Methodist who were suing the hospital system over its China virus vaccine mandate. And that was before it was so-called even approved. It's ridiculous. Anyway, she said, it's really shocking and devastating to me. I'm going to lose a whole number of vaccinated people I consider friends. I feel like I'm going through this grief. I'm really scared for what this means for society. Not good. These women working and getting all stressed and worrying their pretty little heads about that. It's not good. The Texas governor is going to maintain the ban on the vaccine mandates, regardless of FDA approval status, at least for the public sector, right? But the Illinois J.B. Pritzker, that governor is requiring it for students and mandating masks too. J.B. Pritzker, he's fat, by the way. He's a Democrat. Scum of the earth, right? Ridiculous. Hopefully I have time to get to this Dylan Roof thing. I gotta get to it. But first, let me get to the lines are full, guys. Liana in Florida. Been on hold forever. Thank you for holding, Liana. What's up?
Hey, Hake, how are you?
I am doing well. I appreciate you calling in again. Nice to hear from you. What's up?
I wanted to talk to you about the mask madness and
Okay.
the vaccine stuff. So, we just got word that they're going to have mandatory weekly testing.
Yeah. So they shoved
Yeah.
that Q-tip up your nose?
Yep.
Are you gonna put up with it?
Nope.
What's your fiance say about it now? Have you talked about it again?
He has
to him
no
again?
opinion on it.
So he
has
says
no
do what
opinion
you
on
he
it
says
at
do
this
what you
time.
want.
Yes.
Okay. That's good advice.
Yeah.
So you're
Yes,
gonna go
it
ahead and stick with it for now.
No.
Oh, okay. You're quitting?
No. Well, I'm definitely gonna speak to them first, and I'm probably gonna do that and explain to them. I'm not just gonna leave like that. I still
see.
have hope that maybe they would be willing to just let people be individuals
Right.
and let people make the decision for themselves. Because when it comes to science, it's not a perfect science. We're always figuring things out. There's always different opinions.
Right.
In medical and in medicine, and that's how we should keep it. We should have diversity in thought.
So what do you think about the idea of continuing to work, and if they want to fire you, let them, but not quitting? What do you think of that idea?
I think that's what I'm going with.
Oh, okay. But
Yeah,
make sure you keep
that's
a good
basically what
attitude.
I'm
Make
doing.
sure you keep a very good attitude.
Exactly.
Be grateful for your job and do what's reasonable, but stick with what's right.
Yeah, and I am grateful. I am very grateful to America. I'm American now. I just became a citizen this year, and so when you do that, you pledge an oath to renounce your previous country, and you're American now.
Nice.
The previous country no longer exists. I pledged an oath that I would renounce my citizenship over there and only
Cool.
be American now.
Awesome.
And so, I mean, that I understand there are some immigrants that aren't like that, but
So
not all.
I
But
have
my point,
I have a chat from Kaya, who just called from Texas. She says, I filed a complaint at my last job for how frequently they made me decline the vaccine, and they backed off. Not saying that will work for you, but it's what Kaya's experience was, according to her.
That's good to know. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And I wanted to explain because I watch the show like every day, and I really enjoy it. Your show and Jesse's show.
Nice.
And as far as I know, it's not a male-only space. So I think I can call and ask and engage. I think that's okay. I don't
of course.
think there's anything wrong with that. Right, but there's some other people who don't think that's okay. And I just want to
think that people get
that
it. Do you understand people's annoyment with women?
I understand, but not all. So
Chris,
that's what I have
Chris,
to say.
you know what Chris says to you? He
No, what does he
says, log off, rib.
I don't know what that means, and I don't
in
really
the
care.
in the chat in the YouTube chat, I've seen a rib is a reference to the fact that women were made from Adam's rib. Eve was made from Adam's rib.
No, I won't.
Wow,
but I call because I want to. It's not defiant. How is that defiant?
I'm playing around. Don't be defensive.
I
That's
just
okay.
don't exist.
I exist. I am a
Oh my
woman.
goodness.
It's like those blacks who had to walk around with the sandwich signs that said, I am a man. Like, we don't know you're a man. Because basically, the blacks who were wearing those signs were accusing the whites of treating them like they're not human or something. It's so like backhanded and female, but whatever.
Oh, I'm not accusing that though. I'm just.
No, I know. I'm playing
just
around.
defending myself. Okay.
But make
called
sure you
because I
talk with
just-
your fiance. Don't be leaning on me or Jesse.
I'm not. Oh
Okay.
my gosh.
All right.
That's why, let me explain. I just called to get your opinion because I'm curious, because it's a conservative Christian space, and so I'm trying to engage, with that. I just call for that. I just have a conversation. I'm not calling for masculine energy or whatever that means. Not calling for you to tell me what to do. I'm just trying to have a conversation.
I know that. Yeah, but
Okay.
my point is, you and your husband, you're not husband, you and your fiance know
Yeah,
more
not
about
yet.
your situation than I do. And
Absolutely. Why do
and
people
he's the
think
one that
I
you should be
don't
asking.
speak to him? Why do people think that I don't ask him? I don't. That's
Whatever.
ridiculous to me.
I don't know if they think that or
Of course
not.
I talk to him. Of course I ask him. What? People don't know me. I've been with him for 7 years.
Which of you found Jesse's show and my show?
Well, he showed me to Jesse's show first,
Okay.
and a few years ago, and it was just so cringy to me. I couldn't continue watching.
Right.
But then I started watching on my own because, life, you take things one step at a time.
Right.
When we got engaged, I really, I started looking at my life and trying to, your priorities change,
Yeah.
especially for a woman. I think when you get married, I think that's the right thing. And I've always felt that I want to be a stay-at-home mom, and I've always felt that I want to do the right thing.
Cool.
And so, so I started listening to more conversations and dialogues about women and men who feel that that's the right thing to do. And so I got into that whole world. And that's how I found Jesse on my own, and I started watching him.
Nice.
And then, yeah, I completely agree. My fiance has helped me so much out of so much hell.
That's
throughout
cool.
the years.
Nice
And,
report.
yeah,
Is he Brazilian too?
No, no, he was born here. His dad is Mexican and his mom is Colombian.
Okay.
So it's a mix.
Yeah.
But he was born here. I mean, I would say we're both American.
Nice.
I wouldn't say anything else.
Okay.
So,
well, I appreciate your call, Liana. Anything else?
No, thank you. I
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Have a nice
I
weekend.
just need to hear you to tell me. Sorry, I just need to hear you tell me that it's wrong for me to get frustrated.
Yeah.
That's what I needed to hear.
Definitely.
So I call for spiritual reasons, not for any
Right on.
other. Okay. Have a good one.
All right. You too, Liana.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Isn't that nice? Man, the chat is ruthless. I'm playing. Send them back, says Dresden. She's whining, says Slappy. Your fiance is beta, Liana. Leave him, says Earl's Ghost. Man, terrible. Don't listen to that. Let me get to, man, the lines are full, guys, including the Antifa bot got in afterwards. I'm flattered, Antifa. The Antifa can't help but love me. I got to get to Donnell or Donnell, a first-time caller in North Carolina. Donnell, am I pronouncing your name correctly?
Yes, you are.
Donnell, and first-time caller in North Carolina. What's up?
Hey, how you doing this evening?
Doing well. It's actually still morning for me, but yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I'll be. Ain't that something?
Yeah.
But look, the reason I called was I was listening to you and Jesse about 2 days ago or yesterday or one said that the woman was created in the man's image.
Right.
Well, I'm just looking at my Bible, and it says Genesis chapter 1, verse 27 says, "So God created human beings with an S in His own image. In the image of God, He created them."
Nope, that's fake news.
Male and female, He created them.
No, you have a politically correct translation. God created man in His image. In the image of God, He created him. Male and female, He created them. You're reading one that was sanitized to be kissing up to women. You have a fake news version. of the Bible.
It's the New Living Translation.
Yeah, don't listen to that one. They're trying to say it's kind of like people saying the Constitution is a living, breathing document. That's why abortion and same-sex marriage are valid.
Hey, James.
Yeah.
James, if you think about it, God would never create a woman in man's image.
Oh no, he didn't create but two people, Adam and Eve. He wouldn't create a woman in man's image. He would not do that. A woman looks like a cheap imitation of a man. That's why she's weaker.
Say what?
That's why she's weaker.
He would never create a woman in man's image.
He just did. It's right there in the Bible.
Say what now?
It's right there in the Bible. He made her as his helper.
Yeah, he did that, but he created human beings in his image. He would never create a woman in man's image. Man didn't have any image at that time.
Yes, he did. He had the image of God. He was made in the image of God.
Well, but that's the case. So both of them was created in the image of God.
By way of the man, though. By way of the man.
Yeah, but they're both created in the image of God.
By
Human
way
beings are created in
by
God's
way of
image.
the man. That's very key.
Oh man, come on.
Was she not made by way of man?
Both of them, God created man in his image, so he took a part of his image and created a woman.
You know, you're getting called a simp and a beta male. Do you know what a simp is?
Man, I'm not into the name calling.
I know, but do you know what it is? I respect that, Donnell. But do you know what a simp is?
Not really. I'm not even really concerned, really.
Well, let me tell you, because
I know what I am.
I don't know if you know what you are.
I am a Christian. Now you have a belief, and I have a belief, so we can respect each other's beliefs.
I respect. I don't respect your belief. I respect you, but not your belief.
Yeah, well, that's what I
respect
to say.
I respect your right to believe lies.
Yeah, we respect each other.
Right.
Yeah, there you go. You're right.
Nice.
But my next question is this. I heard you and Jessica saying that Jesus was not God.
Right. He's the Son of God.
Okay. Have you ever read John chapter 20, verse 28?
Yes.
You know, Thomas didn't believe Jesus had risen.
Right.
He said he wasn't going to believe it until he saw Jesus and put his fingers in the nail print.
Uh-huh.
And when Thomas saw Jesus, he says, "My Lord and my God."
And how do you know that he was talking to Jesus at that point?
How do I know that?
Yeah.
Oh, good God, me and you can't talk.
Wait, how do you know that he was talking to? When you see somebody with holes in their hands, and that's Jesus, and he is indeed alive, and you touch it, you say, "My Lord and my God." It doesn't mean that doesn't mean that Jesus is God necessarily.
If he wasn't God, Jesus would have rebuked him when he called him God. Jesus would have said,
how do you know that he called him God?
This is what I've said. Don't call me God.
How do you know?
I'm not God.
Wait, hold on. How do you know that he called him God?
That's another belief. That's your belief, and this is my belief. So I just thought I would share this with you.
I like that. I'm
I
appreciative.
thought it was very plain.
No, man, it's plain that Jesus is the Son of God, and Jesus
he is the Son of God.
Jesus said that he does nothing on his own, but what comes from the Father.
Yes, that's exactly right.
And when people say that, I and the Father are one, that doesn't mean that Jesus is God. It means he's one with God. Just as we're supposed to be one in Christ as Christians, we're supposed to be one in Christ. That doesn't mean we're Christ.
Yeah, but Jesus, the only thing about Jesus that's different from any other angel, he never sinned. The angels sinned.
I don't know about the angels, but he never sinned. That's correct.
You should know it because you know a third of the angels sinned.
No, Donnell, let me correct you on that. Jesus, the difference between Jesus, because Jesus is not an angel, he's the Son of Man. Jesus,
he's God.
No, man, listen, hold on, let me make this point. Jesus is the only difference between Jesus and the true Christians who are born again as fellow brothers of him and children of God, is that Jesus never sinned, whereas the Christians who were born again have sinned in their past.
Yes, we still sin.
No, we don't still sin. We're not supposed to still sin. We're not born again if we still sin. No one who is born.
Well, I disagree with that. I truly
It's in the
disagree
Bible.
with that.
First
I
John
read it in the Bible. He
3.
said, but if you do sin, we have an advocate that will forgive you. He said, but if you do sin,
That's for seekers. There are many people in the church who have not been born again. Listen to this.
Well, go ahead.
It says, whoever abides in him does not sin. Whoever has sins has neither seen him nor known him. Whoever commits, let's see, what else? It also says, no one who's born of God sins. Whoever is born of God does not commit sin, for God's seed remains in him, and he cannot sin because he's born of God. That's 1 John 3:9, and 1 John 3:6 also says about they don't sin. So you're saying something that's contradictory to the Bible.
Yeah, but then it also said, I forgot where it was, but he said, but if you do sin, he said, but if you do, we have an advocate that's faithful and just.
If you do means that you're not born of God, though. That's why you have the advocate so that you can become born of God, born again.
You're reading that in there. That's
you're reading into it. Anyway.
No, me and you have different beliefs. That's all.
Yeah, and you got the wrong one.
The reason I call you, I just want to share this with you, what I believe.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
We don't. Yeah, thank you.
And
so much.
I like your accent, Donnell.
My accent?
Yep.
Do I have an accent?
Yeah, I can tell you're Southern.
Southern. Oh, yes, I am. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. I stay in North Carolina. I believe I told you that when I called.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it, man.
No big deal, man. No big. I'm a child of God, man. That's my main identification.
Well, you better watch
in the name calling.
As the Bible says.
Stuff like that.
Yeah. Name calling is not always necessary.
Why did Jesse and y'all into the name calling, like the big fat black lesbian and the big fat black this and the name calling? That's sort of immature.
Name calling for Christ, as the great
name calling, man, get out of here.
Brother Dean Saxton said it's name calling for Christ. Jesus calls
name
God
calling.
his God in Revelation 3:2. Jesus calls God his God. Interesting, huh?
Yeah, but Jesus.
Anyway,
anytime you call somebody a big fat black lesbian and
Jesus did
nappy-headed this and nappy-headed that, that's ugly, man.
But it's ugly to be that. Jesus called the snakes a brood of vipers. He said, "You brood of vipers."
A lot of people is black and overweight. But see, you don't do like that. Don't you know that?
Well, it depends on where their spirit's coming from. Sometimes it's.
Well, that's your opinion again, So
yeah.
I can't change it. But anyway,
I appreciate it.
I appreciate you accepting my call.
Thank you, man. Take care.
You too.
All right. Richard TX with the super chat says, today one of my employees, an RN, took her second shot. According to him, her doctor told her she was medically exempt because she could die from it. She did it anyway, in fear of losing her second job as a school nurse. She got so dizzy she almost crashed her car, and now she can't work. Wow, talk about shooting yourself in the foot. You get it so you can keep on working, and then you can't work because your body's messed up. Thank you for the tip, Richard TX. Let me know how it goes for her if you get an update on one of your employees, that RN, who took her second shot, and she was told she didn't have to. What a mess. What, you were going to fire her? Or who was going to fire her? She wanted to keep... Oh, her second job as a school nurse. Okay, I get it. Man, thank you for the tip on that, Richard TX. According to Richard TX, I don't take him to be a liar. Thank you for that super chat. I appreciate it. Lin Yan Chin says, Donnell is senile. Whoa. Blind to the simple context of woman coming in from man's rib is woman created after man. Created in the image. Simultaneously means in the wake of. In the wake as in likeness. Way or likeness. Woman is created in the image of man. His situational awareness is lacking. Know thyself, Mama Donnell, says Lin Yan Chin, who is mixed black name calling, but name calling for truth in Christ, right? Guys, I really appreciate it. I got to end. Josh in Wisconsin had a question about Jesus. Dan from the Bronx wanted to talk about Tony's slavery comments. The great Christina, can a woman be great? The great Christina from Sacramento Wanted to talk about the Straight Pride Rally in NorCal. Is that NorCal? SenCal? NorCal. It's happening tomorrow. Thank you, guys. I gotta end. TheHakeReport.com, TheFallenState.tv, JesseLeePeterson.com, RebuildingTheMan.com, and Church with Jesse Lee Peterson. I'll have to read Bible Go-To guys' super chats next week and the rest of them. But thank you, guys, and take care.